There are people who grow older quietly, and then there are Capricorns. The ones who were born carrying the weight of expectations, the ones who started life climbing mountains that weren't even theirs, the ones who were forced to become strong before anyone taught them how to rest. And when people ask, what will a Capricorn be like in their old age? They expect a simple answer. But nothing about a Capricorn is ever simple. Because their old age is not just a phase of life. It is a destination. A masterpiece sculpted by decades of endurance, discipline, heartbreak, silent victories, and unspoken dreams. Capricorn's old age is where everything they never said becomes everything they finally understand. And this is the story of that transformation. It begins with a mountain. It always does. Capricorns spend their youth climbing, relentlessly, painfully, stubbornly, with a quiet fire inside them that nobody can extinguish. They don't climb because they're obsessed with success. They climb because something in their soul whispers that standing still is dangerous. They climb because stability is the only way they know how to protect themselves and the people they love. But every mountain has its shadows. And every Capricorn carries them. In their younger years, Capricorn learns early that life doesn't hand out rewards for effort. They learn that responsibility rarely comes with recognition. They learn that being strong means being misunderstood. And they learn that controlling their emotions is safer than expressing them. Their youth is filled with moments where they swallow their fears, hide their tears, and show the world nothing but a calm exterior. Not because they don't feel, but because they feel too deeply. And feeling deeply has consequences. So they grow up disciplined, structured, guarded, stoic, a little too hard on themselves, a little too good at pretending everything is fine. Nobody sees how often they break in private. Nobody sees how often they question themselves. Nobody sees the wounds they carry behind their quiet determination. But life sees, time sees, and age has a way of reshaping the meaning of strength. As Capricorn steps into their middle years, something begins to shift, slowly, quietly, like winter turning into early spring. They start to realize that climbing is not the only purpose. They start to question why they've carried so many burdens alone. They start to wonder what it would feel like to let someone see their softness, the softness they've buried for so long it almost feels foreign. This realization doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in dozens of small, silent awakenings. The morning they wake up and realize success doesn't feel the way they imagined. The night they sit in their car after a long day and suddenly crave a gentleness they've never given themselves. The moment they look at their life and whisper, maybe I deserve more than endurance. This is the first mini-climax of Capricorn's journey, the subtle unraveling of their lifelong armor. They don't fully understand it yet, but something is preparing them for who they will become in old age. Because Capricorn's old age is not a decline. It is a revelation. And when Capricorn finally reaches those years, they become someone entirely different from the person they once were, yet so deeply, authentically themselves that it feels like destiny. Capricorn in old age has a presence you can't ignore. Not loud, not dramatic, just powerful. A quiet authority, a calm intensity, a wisdom that can only be born from decades of surviving storms without collapsing. They don't talk much, but every word they say carries weight. They don't seek attention, yet people instinctively gravitate toward them. They don't try to impress anyone, but somehow they impress everyone. Their old age brings a kind of beauty that isn't about appearance. It's about the aura they've earned, the look in their eyes that says, I've been through more than you know, and I'm still here. Their face may develop lines, but each line tells a story. A story of a time they stood tall when their world was shaking. A story of nights they worked when others slept. A story of dreams they protected even when they were exhausted. A story of people they loved fiercely, even if they never said it out loud. And this is where the second emotional rise begins. Because despite everything, Capricorn becomes softer with age, not weaker, softer. The life they once carried like a weight becomes something they now hold with gratitude. The emotions they once hid now visit them with gentleness. The love they once feared they weren't deserving of now becomes something they effortlessly give. Capricorn in their old age laughs more. They forgive easier. They let go quicker. They choose peace over perfection. And for the first time in their life, they stop rushing. Their younger self would never believe how calmly they move now. The Capricorn of their youth chased stability. But the Capricorn of old age becomes stability. In their family, They become the anchor, the silent strength everyone relies on without realizing it. They don't dominate, don't control, don't demand. They guide with subtlety. They teach through example. They comfort with presence, not words. To their children or grandchildren, they are the wise elder who always knows the right thing to say, or the right silence to offer. Because Capricorns understand something by then. Not every problem needs a solution. Some problems just need someone who won't panic. In friendships, Capricorn becomes selective, extremely selective. At this age, they no longer tolerate drama or dishonesty. They value loyalty, authenticity, and depth. And the people who remain close to them are not many, but they are priceless. The kind of relationships built on trust that has been tested and proven. Financially, Capricorn almost always ends up stable, even if they started with nothing. They've spent their entire life planning, saving, working, and thinking 5 steps ahead. They never lose their practicality, and it rewards them. Even in retirement, money finds its way to them through opportunities, connections, or simply their reputation. Capricorn at this age is the definition of quiet luxury. Not flashy, not attention-seeking, but undeniably secure, undeniably respected. But let's be honest, not everything is perfect, because every strength has a shadow. And Capricorn's old age still carries a few. There are days when they feel deeply lonely, not because they lack people, but because they spent so many years bottling emotions that expressing them now feels unfamiliar. There are moments when they silently wish someone understood their heart without them having to explain it. There are fears they don't admit, fear of becoming a burden, fear of aging, fear of losing the independence they fought so hard to build. Sometimes they hide their pain so well that nobody realizes they need help. Sometimes they push themselves too hard out of habit. Sometimes they keep secrets, not because they want to, but because they never learn how to ask for comfort. This is the emotional low point, a gentle but powerful fall, where their lifelong patterns echo back to them. But this drop is necessary, because it leads to the most beautiful part of Capricorn's old age. The moment they learn to receive love, not just give it. The moment they let people in. The moment their heart finally opens, slowly, cautiously, but sincerely. This is the climax, the transformation, the moment everything changes. Capricorn, who once believed vulnerability was dangerous, becomes wise enough to understand that vulnerability is not weakness, it is connection. Capricorn, who once carried everyone else's burdens, learns to let others carry them gently. Capricorn, who once ran toward goals, now walks toward peace. Capricorn, who once held everything together, now lets life hold them. And life does. Beautifully. When Capricorn looks back, they won't see a life of ease. They'll see a life of meaning. A life that shaped them into someone resilient, dignified, admirable, and profoundly human. They will see the mountains they climbed, and they will smile, not because they conquered them, but because they survived them. Capricorn's old age is where their soul finally exhales, where their heart finally softens, where their spirit finally feels safe, where they finally understand that they were never alone, even when they felt like they were. And in this final, brilliant, quiet chapter of their life, Capricorn becomes exactly what they were always meant to be: a symbol of wisdom, a source of strength, a guardian of peace, a mountain, not harsh, but sacred, not cold, but enduring, not intimidating, but awe-inspiring. Their old age doesn't take away their power. It reveals it, because some people fade as they grow older. But Capricorn becomes everlasting.